Hello, and welcome to the show. Tonight we'll be talking about money, right? Mo money, mo problems. Y'all remember that song? Uh, so here we are. So what we're going to be discussing tonight is the things that cause issues in a relationship, and you guessed it, money, right? So um, when we go through this discussion, we don't obviously have all the answers. We don't have it all worked out, but this is simply our take, our experience, how we've got through.
What
All
works
right,
best for us.
and action.
Okay.
uh, so, uh, what causes the most stress in our relationship?
Money.
Money,
Money.
right? And most of the time, it's not mo money, mo problems. It's less money,
The
mo
lack of
problems,
money.
right? Less money, mo problems.
Yes.
And there used to be a whole lot of people that would say, um, there's a whole lot of um, issues, and you listen to all these financial stuff. And we did a financial class one time, and the biggest thing for us was that the guy that was going through the study and helping us with all this stuff, he really broke it down and said, what's the biggest problem is that there's too much month at the end of the money.
Yeah.
Right. And especially in today's time, an ever changing time.
Yes.
Right. So we see an acceleration in things like never before. You used to be able to buy something and it would last, and it would be a couple years before the new came out. But now it seems like as soon as you buy something, they've just released three more of something that's even newer and even better and badder. Right.
And that's because it's going to break anyways.
Right. Yeah. Don't put your trust in things. Absolutely. So how does money cause us the most stress? Why do we get so freaked out about it?
Well, because you got to have it to survive.
Yeah, you need it to survive. Anybody that says, you don't need money, they're a liar, right?
And on the front end here, we're totally different when it comes to spending money. I like to call me frugal. What do you call me?
Frugal.
You do not call me frugal.
I don't call you a tight butt.
No. Anyways, I'm more frugal, and Bobby's more if he sees it, he wants to go get it.
Mm-hmm. I'm impulse, big time.
So bad.
Wow. But we've learned a lot of things over the years, and we learned early on, like at the beginning of our marriage, I was in serious financial trouble. And so you want to talk about stress, you want to talk about having to try to struggle and make it. We were in a bankruptcy right as soon as we got married, right?
Like literally on the way to our honeymoon.
Yep. We had to go sign papers. So I was already in that trouble. And so you see what she took on. So understand when you're thinking about marrying someone, you get all of their problems too. You don't just get all of the great things. You don't get to pick and choose what things you like about them and don't like, and then you can check the boxes and say, okay, I want these things but not these things. So she inherited a big financial burden when she married me, but through our experience and mainly through the grace of God, we made it. Right. Mm-hmm. We had some really tough times, and so early on, we did a financial class because that was obviously the requirements of the bankruptcies. We had to do a financial class and go through all the legal stuff. So we learned our lesson. We learned a hard lesson, and so that causes stress, having a financial burden. And so a lot of times, we naturally want to just keep up. We want to just keep up with the Joneses, right? That is the expression. And when somebody gets something new, we feel like we should have something new. And Tiffany, she's completely opposite. She really just don't care. Like I have to tell her, like even last night, right? We're transparent here, and she's looking online. She's like, "Oh my gosh, this is on sale.
It was a bra, by the way.
And it's normally $40 and it's on sale right now for $20. What am I going to say? Get it. I mean, get two for the price of one.
I did get it, but I also, before I got it, backed out of it like 3 different times.
Right. So what's the best thing to do to help minimize the problems in the relationship? We know that we gotta have conversation. We know we have to communicate.
Right.
But in the communication, what is the best thing that you can do to minimize the stress and the problems?
Okay, so you've already said don't live outside your means,
right?
Obviously. So the next thing is create a budget and stick to it. Don't create the budget and be like, this sounds good, this looks good. Stick to the budget.
So how do we create a budget? Because the way we see everything now, and I talked about acceleration, talked about how the prices didn't change on everything every day.
Oh, right.
And now, if as soon as you make a budget and you say, okay, we're going to lock this in and this is what we're going to do, then tomorrow the price of milk goes up, the price of bread goes up,
mm-hmm.
price of coffee, the price of peanut butter, everything, and including fuel, keeps going up.
Right, where you can make changes and not drive so much.
Yeah.
If you don't have
to.
Spend
some family time, right?
Spend family time at home, and then, gosh, take out some of the junk food. We could all, like, miss some snacks, y'all.
I can't.
It's not going to kill you.
Wither up and dry up
I
and
mean,
go
maybe
away.
that's right. I can miss some snacks.
So, all right, so creating a budget.
Mm-hmm.
So, how have you been able to hold to our budget and keep things working, even though everything's changing?
Right.
Remember you said it last week on the Kicking Lawyer Law Talk. You said, if you don't have cash,
don't buy it.
You don't need it. Don't buy it.
We even do that with vehicles. So you don't have to have the nicest, biggest, newest ride out there. Drive what you have until it can no longer go. Keep the maintenance on it, and it'll go for a while for starters. But then, like, we had to have a bigger vehicle because our family grew. But we didn't go for brand new. We went for something used that we could afford to pay cash for. So you have to set aside. So I use the envelope system for our budget, and I have a certain envelope for that kind of thing, like a savings for if a vehicle breaks down or if we need to buy a new vehicle.
Mm-hmm. And you can make adjustments, right? Because you have birthday envelopes.
Yes.
You have emergency envelopes.
Mm-hmm.
And so every aspect of everything, you have a breakdown.
I have a Christmas envelope, and I don't go over that budget. When Christmas comes around, what money I have in the envelope, that's what I spend between 4 kids. And also at Christmas, we don't buy everybody presents. Like, I might buy my parents and his parents something small. Like, it's usually a keepsake that the kids will make. But as far as, like, my brother and my sister and their kids, we don't do all that. I mean, for real, y'all, kids get everything they want these days anyways.
They do. And through the years, and where we had to learn in these things, even today, we had a birthday party because tomorrow our little guy turns 3.
Oh, don't say that. Oh, no.
And so we had a birthday party today, and everybody just keeps asking, what do I bring? What do I bring? Just get him a card. He's 3 years old. He doesn't know.
Right.
Get him little toys. He doesn't need these great big things. And, grandparents, they want to buy stuff. Grandparents want to send you home with the vehicle loaded full of stuff. But over the years, we've been able to make these adjustments so our kids don't just get piled on for birthdays and Christmas and stuff like that. Now, they're not deprived by any means. If you look at our garage, they've got plenty of toys. And they have enough toys that, at one time, we actually started picking up toys that they had just kind of dropped by the wayside throughout the year, put them in a Rubbermaid tote, put them in the attic, and then we'd bring them back down and be like, hey, look what we found in the attic.
I just swap out toy boxes every so often.
And it's a new toy all over again. They're like, oh, they forget that they had it. Or they're like, hey, I had one like this one time. Or, oh, yes, I do remember this. So, recycle things. You don't have a problem re-gifting something to somebody else. Why do you think that, our kids are so stinking spoiled, right? They have everything, and they constantly get more and more and more. But I saw a post on Facebook the other day and said, sometimes I want to send my kid back to 1990 and see if they'd survive. And Tiffany and I talk about it, like, take your kids, send them outside and say, hey, look, there's a stick, there's a rock, go have fun, figure it out, right? Give me the phone, give me the laptop, give me the iPad, whatever it is. Go outside and learn how to be a kid. And we did that as kids.
Right.
And it was the greatest times of our lives. No responsibility. If you broke the stick, you found another one, right? In the envelope system, how do you break those down? When you set your budget, how do you break that stuff down, and how do you manage those?
Okay, so first of all, Bobby's paid hourly, so I base it off of 40 hours. The overtime is just extra money.
So wait, we got to make sure we're not living beyond our means, right?
Well, yeah, don't live beyond your means. Do we already say that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But I want to reiterate this.
Yes.
So because you can get overtime, gosh, phone, stop. You can get overtime. So do you live off the overtime? Do you factor in 45 hours a week?
No. Strictly 40 hours if you're hourly. Anyways, and then also you don't want to use 100% of your 40 hours. Obviously, right. Because you don't want to be like paycheck to paycheck.
Right. That's terrible. You have to make a buffer zone. Again, we said a while ago that, so many things change on the daily, right?
Yeah.
So you have to create a buffer. So do you round up?
Yeah.
When you figure the budget, do you take the light bill, the gas bill, and the water bill? Do you take those for what they are every month, or do you round up to give some cushion?
I always round up.
Always.
And then at the end of the year, all the envelopes that I have rounded up and I have extra money, I'll divide them out between savings and emergency funds.
Right. And that works best for us. Like I said, folks, we don't have all the answers and we don't have it all figured out, but we've been through some hard times. We've been through some stuff enough to share these things with you and hope that they would help you. And in any way, if you find any of our advice beneficial, but then you can tweak it and make it your own and benefit you, that's what we want. So the envelope system. So what about that spontaneous guy that wants to make a purchase? We don't just make a decision separate from each other, right?
No.
So do we have, here's one thing we do need to touch on, because this is big in a relationship.
Okay.
What about separate bank accounts?
I disagree.
I disagree with that.
I feel like if you can't be open about, and maybe you can have separate ones and be open. I just feel like it's a door to cause confusion and
issues.
Yeah.
It can cause some problems, because there's always that thought in the back of the other's mind, like, is he hiding something from me? Does he have some secret money? Or
even if that, like, well, you make more money than I do, so you could go out and buy nice things with your money if we didn't share. And then how do you split your bills? I mean,
so that's an issue that I have, is if you have separate bank accounts and you communicate well, because maybe I'll just use myself for an example. Maybe I am a terrible spender. Maybe I have terrible money habits and I overdraft the bank account. So a separate account, so that, okay, I have my money, and then when my account is messed up, that's my problem, right? It doesn't affect the groceries. It doesn't affect the utilities, but we manage them together. So there's still, in my mind, I do know some people that have separate bank accounts, because one is an overspender and one is very frugal. And to benefit their relationship, then there had to be a way to manage, and they have to have two bank accounts. One was just constantly being overdrafted because one had a terrible spending habit. But you got to be able to get those under control. That's part of the communication part of the relationship to say, look, we have to be financially responsible for our family and our home to be able to thrive. Yeah. Right. And so I would extremely discourage separate bank accounts. And it gives more openness to making decisions together, because we have purchase decisions. So if I want to go and spend 10 or 15 bucks on lunch every now and then, I don't make a habit of doing that now, because I realize at the end of the year, every day spending 10 or $15 on lunch really stacks up. And little habits, little spending things here and there, we've been able to cut out.
Normally how we do the little spending things is we allow each other so much cash a week, because if you're actually holding the cash instead of swiping a card for your little petty stuff, then you'll be like, oh, I'm only down to $5. I don't need to buy this $10 lunch today when I brought my lunch anyway.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that really helps me because I grew up with cash. Every birthday, every Christmas, grandmas and grandpas gave cash, and it wasn't a bank card. I mean, even Monopoly has changed, right? Yeah, right. You go and look at a Monopoly game now, and it's a card, and you swipe the card, and it tells you what to do. But there's a subconscious to that card that is bypassed, and it's just swipe it, swipe it, swipe it. Nobody balances a checkbook anymore. Everybody just looks at the bank account. So having a discussion over purchases, set an amount, agree on an amount together. Like, hey, if I'm allowed to spend $100, then I could spend $100 without question. But it's not a freebie to say, okay, well, if I can spend $100 and there's a loophole here, I can spend $100 5 times and get what I want. No, that's not going to work, right? Obviously, you're going to shortchange your bank account real quick. You're going to go in the negative. So purchase discussions, you got to make this relationship work. We talked a couple of weeks ago that it's 100, 100. And if I'm holding back and I'm trying to hide some money so that I can buy something, do I really need to buy that? Right. If I can't be straight up and honest with you and have a discussion about it, then I need to stop and ask myself, do I really need this? Right? Because then what am I going to do? I'm going to start hiding other little things, right? So
also on your envelope system, don't forget about your babies. So each of my kids have an envelope that I put a certain amount, the same in each of them every week. And then at the end of the month, I take it and go put it in the bank in their savings account. I mean, it can be $5 a week, and it adds up over time, and every little bit will help them when they're older.
Yeah. And so we're we're teaching our kids now to be financially responsible, to watch their spending habits, and to make sure that they're able to understand where the money comes from. Because our 2 oldest kids have jobs. One babysits, one works at a restaurant, and they have to manage their money. And we take money and set those things aside so that they have savings, because we want to be able to put them into a better position when they turn 18 and they start getting some real independence and a taste of adulthood, and we're not just throwing them to the wolves. They already have a taste of reality to know where money comes from, how it works, and the best way to manage it and to use it to your advantage. So I will give you guys a little bit of a plug here. Brother Rod Hickman is a very good friend of mine, and he has Generational Wealth Builders, and this guy is doing some great things. He's helping families get set up for the future and how to benefit yourself and your home for the future. So I want to plug that guy right now, Generational Wealth Builders, Brother Rod Hickman. You can look him up on Facebook, and he can he can talk you through, he can give you some actual professional advice on financial situations, insurance, how to invest, things in that manner. So I think that would be a wise decision also, because he put a post on Facebook that speaks volumes. Many people will have a cell phone and they'll have insurance on this thing. They'll have insurance on their car. They'll have insurance on their house, but no life insurance whatsoever. And what does that do for your loved ones when something happens? Because obviously, folks, we know that we're not going to live forever. COVID taught us that life is very fragile if you didn't know already. So you can discuss these things. You can make small adjustments now for great things later. So we have some things set up, in my job, in our personal lives, that benefit us financially if something happens to one of us, that my wife doesn't have to figure things out. So also, I can stress this a little bit to you. Work on getting a will written out. That is also financial responsibility, because it helps in a time of grief and a time of loss to be able to look at something and say, I don't have to guess what needs to be done. This was already decided by a plan written out a while ago, and it will ease the process. There are a lot of options. So being in a tough situation will also cause you to be vulnerable for somebody that may want to take advantage of you in a time of need. So I want to stress that big time. Plan now for emergencies. Plan now for the future, because you never know what tomorrow will hold. You never know what's going to change. You don't know if, everybody lives for right now. And we all have this idea, right? That we're going to live forever and that we're always going to have tomorrow. So make wise decisions now. We had some struggles in the beginning because I wasn't thinking about the future. But this is my beautiful bride, the love of my life, the mother of my children. And I want to make sure that I can do the absolute best to take care of her, my kids, and our home, and do things responsibly, be the man of the house, and try to do my best to make wise decisions so that they don't struggle later.
And also, on an end note, if you're struggling and living paycheck to paycheck, check and see what you can cut out, because I know you probably have so many subscriptions that you don't even need, you don't even use.
Right.
Cut some of those out wherever you can cut. You don't need a $9,000 a month cell phone bill.
Yeah, and we discussed that a while ago. Even with savings, that $5 a week can really help you out in the long run. So think about those subscriptions that you have.
And don't be afraid to get a side hustle. So when our grocery budget is short, or I know we're going to go over the grocery budget, I stopped for a while, but now I'm back cleaning houses on the side to help with the extra we need.
Help with inflation.
Yes.
Help recover because of inflation. Folks, we're going to be real here. Everything is sky high. So yes, and she's not saying that get a side hustle to where you can make a ton of money and separate yourself from your family.
No, but I mean, if you're in debt, you got to get yourself out of debt.
Do it responsibly,
and don't be afraid to work for it.
Amen.
It's not going to be given to you. You have to work for it.
Right. Anything else you want to add before we break away?
No, kids are waving us down.
So we got a little window right here in this office that we can see outside. And from time to time, you'll see us look this way. They come up and they knock and they're like, hey, check your phone. Mom and dad can't get a minute's peace. We got 24 minutes into this episode so far, and they've already been tapping and waving us down. But I wouldn't have it any other way. For my kids to come and always need us, that is a great blessing. We love to be a part of our kids' lives, and what are we, 3 years away from our oldest maybe becoming independent, and he's already becoming a little independent, and we're letting him have some good responsibility, and he hasn't destroyed it yet.
Not yet.
So teach your kids well, make decisions now to benefit you in the future. Because there will be tough times, there will be bad days, but if you plan for them, they won't be as bad as they could be. So take our advice, take it or leave it. It is what it is. We're just telling you how we've learned and what we've experienced. So we hope it benefits you. We hope it carries you through. And again, the will, if you need somebody to help you with a will, HMRS law firm, I believe they do it. And we want to mention Brother Rod Hickman again, Generational Wealth Builders. And I want to tell you this right now. They have no financial input into our episode. This is just our recommendation, right? So these are two businesses that we know would benefit you well and benefit your family. So if you need those, then give them a call, check them out, and we wish you guys well and hope to see you back here next time. And anything else from you? No. She did good this time, folks. She did really good. She talked, she conversated. She's getting better. I love her. Y'all have a great night.